All right, ladies and gents, I'm back once again with an Impact Wrestling review. This past episode was really decent, and we had a fantastic main event. So let's get right on into this. Let's not waste any more time. But first, I'd like to ask you to smash that like button, hit that like button, and feel free to comment down below. So let's get right on into this. We started off with the opening promo, to which that's kind of strange actually, because lately Impact has been starting off with matches lately, and that's been a refresher. But we started off with a promo this week. Lashley came down. Well, first Bruce Pritchard came down, selling the injured ribs, which I like that. Then Lashley came down, and look, it's about time we seen Lashley in the ring. I mean, the most dominating, the most interesting character in all of Impact Wrestling finally got a chance to talk on the mic, talk about how he's the real champ, and he just wanted to sit back and see who he would dominate as the number one contender. It was short, it was simple, it was sweet, but then we got the whole thing, the whole promo where one person interrupts another person, and another person interrupts that person type of promo, and I'm not too much of a fan of that. But at least they worked back to the main event of the night, to where Bruce Pritchard made the main event match a no DQ match. It was a simple promo. It was a nice way to open the show. So I'd rather start with matches, but that was decent. So moving on, we had KM and Congo versus Shura and Braxton Sutter. Congo dominated early, to which that's always a slow start when he dominates early, but it's okay. And pretty much Congo and KM dominated the match for a whole lot. And the match didn't really pick up until Congo hit Sutter, hit Shura with the nerve pinch. And then Shura got out of that. He went on to make the hot tag to Sutter. And he was on fire, to which that led to the end of the match, where Allie was trying to escape Laurel Van Ness and Sienna, and she hit a clothesline on both of them, and that was going on the outside. Shura got distracted by Congo, and the finish was Congo rolling up Shura with grabbing the tights for the victory. I mean, this was a decent match at best. It wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it held my attention. And I like the angle of Allie and Van Ness and Sienna, to which that led to, after the match, we had a battle afterwards. And the biggest story of this battle was that Rosemary came down, and it looks like we got ourselves a match building for Slammiversary. She came down and saved Allie from a beatdown, and hit Sienna with the mist. And you know what? Impact is finally starting to shift Rosemary from DK, because DK is no more. I hope they put a importance on the knockout division. And look, they have a chance to start off with a bang if they go ahead and start this Rosemary Sienna feud for Slammiversary. And I think that would be a fantastic match. And then afterwards, you have the money match with Rosemary and Allie. So next up, we had a semifinal match for the GFW tournament, for the tag team tournament. And it was Fala and Mario Kokara versus the Veterans of War, Wilcox and Mayweather. The Veterans of War dominated early. They did the horseman style quick tags. It wasn't much to this match. Fowler would take control, but it wasn't the greatest offense in the world. But he moves around pretty good for a big man. Hot tag by Wilcox, big clothesline, and the Veterans War would go on to him, the finishing maneuver. And I like this because it was the absolute right result. I mean, you already set up a storyline with the Veterans of War and LAX, and the Veterans of War had to win here. So they got the win, and we're headed for LAX versus the Veterans of War. That should be a fantastic matchup if they give it time. I like the storyline that's been built so far, and I'm looking forward to it. So after that, we had Josh Matthews coming down, and he called JB into the ring, and he apologized to JB. He wanted to be friends. He wanted a handshake from JB, and that led to Joseph Park coming down to ringside. He told him not to shake Josh's hand, and that ticked Josh off. Josh got mad, and then that set up a Joseph Park versus Josh Matthews match right then and there. So we got a referee down, and before the match could even get started, Scott Steiner came down, and it was revealed that Scott Steiner would be Josh Matthews' partner at Slammiversary versus JB and Joseph Park. And yeah, I don't know how to feel about this one. Scott Steiner, he didn't look spry. I mean, they did the deal where he was chasing around JB and Joseph Park, and then he eventually took both of them out, and he didn't appear to move very spry. Didn't appear to have much of a pep in his step. I hope the best for him for Slammiversary. Hopefully they can make that a no DQ match. That would really help out Scott Steiner. But, I mean, he didn't look too well. He didn't look to be moving too well. But we'll see how it all turns out at Slammiversary. Maybe it can be a sneaky, match where some good things happen and it turns out to be one of those matches that's better than it has any right to be. So next up, we got a video from Moose, and we're building to a grand title match and grand championship title match, and that led to Eli Drake backstage and antagonizing Moose. He had a promo going, and then Moose tried to attack him. And backstage, Chris Adonis came out of nowhere, and Chris Adonis and Eli Drake laid a beat down on Moose. And that's a feud that's building. We're going to have a championship match at some point. I can't remember when they said it was. I think it's next week, if I'm not mistaken. So after that, we had the match, Davey Richards and Alicia versus Angelina Love and Eddie Edwards and Alicia versus Davey and Angelina Love. Goodness, where's my mind today? Match started off with the brawl in caps. I have high pace, and look, that's what it was. It was very high pace, and in the beginning of the match, we got the shot of caffeine, the tope by Eddie Edwards, and it was a very high-paced match, and that led to a pretty nice spot from Alicia to where she did a crossbody from the top rope to the outside, and that led us to the commercial break. And look, I thought they worked a smart match here. Davey, after we came off the commercial break, Davey started to work over the knee. And like always, I always appreciate psychology in a match. I love it when they work over a body part. That's something that I find interesting. Alicia got the hot tag. We had a fist fight, and Alicia was going to get the roll-up win. And I thought they worked a very good match because Eddie Edwards and Davey did all of the heavy lifting with some spots here and there from Alicia and Angelina. That was very smart because Eddie and Davey can just look. I can just watch them fight forever. You know, that's the chant that's popular lately. And every time they go out there, they have a good match. So after the match, we had a beatdown of Eddie Edwards and Alicia. And Alicia got put through a table by Angelina Love. So that means the feud must go on. And you know what? I don't mind that. You know, we got a very good match out of this match. And maybe we'll get something set up for Slammiversary. We'll see. We'll see how it all turns out. Afterwards, this will lead us to our main event of the evening. We had EC3 versus Magnus versus James Storm. The winner would go on to be the #1 contender for the World Championship. I appreciate the fact that they cleared up that Alberto El Patron is not the #1 contender because having the GFW belt doesn't automatically doesn't mean that it's a golden ticket to the belt, because you know I was assuming all this time that it's going to be Lashley and El Patron, and I appreciate that they cleared that up. So we got to the match. It was a quick pace, and obviously with a triple threat. Triple threats normally don't start off slow, and I appreciated this one. It got off to a fast start. We had some action to the outside. James Storm grabbed a Coca-Cola bottle and went on to waylay EC3 and Magnus, to which that was cool. And eventually, EC3 and Magnus would get their revenge as they double suplexed him on the rampway. So we got back into the ring, and here's something else I appreciate again. Working over a body part, and we had continuation. We had EC3 and Magnus take a kendo stick to James Storm's injured back, and they worked that over. But eventually, we came to the point in the match where there was no honor amongst thieves. You know, we always have this moment in triple threat matches where the heels gang up and then they reach a point where they start fighting each other because it's every man for themselves. And we reached that point. That was a cool moment in time. So the match started to pick up really fast. We had a DDT neckbreaker by James Storm on EC3 and Magnus. That was a pretty cool spot. We had a near kick out after EC3 TK3 on James Storm. And another fantastic spot was when James Storm hit the code breaker on EC3 through the chair, and we got a near fall there as well. The finish would be James Storm hit the last call, and it looked like James Storm was on his way to a victory. EC3, however, would steal the pin, and we have ourselves a new #1 contender. It is EC3, and I really thought that was the way to go. My prediction going in was that EC3 would win it because they've been building him up with this heel turn, and I mean, it was no sense in having him lose here. Got to have him go to the main event at Slammiversary. Now, however, the drawback to this is EC3. If you've ever watched the EC3 Lashley match, they can put on good matches, but they don't have good chemistry together in their matches. In the recent pay-per-view, I forget what it was. I think it was Bound for Glory. I'm not sure, when it was EC3 and Lashley facing each other. That match that they had, they just didn't have chemistry, and it really hurt the flow of the match. Now, coming up at Slammiversary, I believe that they can have a good match. It's possible that they learn from their mistakes of not having good chemistry, and maybe we can have a good match at Slammiversary. I'd love to have a no disqualification or weapons match involved in that as well. That would be nice. Maybe that'll help it out as well. But all in all, I'm very much looking forward to Slammiversary. We have a stacked card, and I don't know if there's hope in every match that something good can happen, and I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to Impact next week, and I'll be here. I will most likely be here to review it next week. So I'll see you then. Until then, go through my channel, check out all of my playlists, all my wrestling playlists. There's wrestling fun for everybody there. So go through it and have some fun. I'll see you next week.